We have engineers at Anthropic who don't write any code. And when I look at the productivity, we have folks who say, this GPU kernel, this chip, I used to write it myself, I just have Claude do it. And so there's this enormous improvement in productivity.
So it's basically LLM plus shell plus file system plus markdown plus cron. And it turns out that's an agent. And every part of that other than the model is something that we already completely know and understand. And so that's the architecture. And then it turns out, what is your agent? Your agent is a bunch of files stored in a file system.
They don't think like human beings, that they're really operating over different principles because they are built to mimic human beings. And human beings are not built to distinguish AI systems that work differently from themselves.
All the data of the internet, that's distillation. It distilled all of human thought. Mind. No, it didn't. It distilled all of the end state of human thought. The actual typing it on Reddit. It doesn't have the traces, right? It doesn't actually have the thought, the emotion, or whatever that went into typing that comment or writing that essay.
There are cognitive states, whether it's motivation or urgency or fear or love, that is very hard to access and express. And do machines have it? Today, no. Let's make it very clear. They don't have that data. They don't have that mathematical objective function. Say when the machine says, I'm sorry you're so sick today, it's very different from how your friend says it to you, because the machine said that because it has learned through pattern. When someone tells it, I'm sick, you should say, I'm sorry you're sick, instead of, I'm so glad you're sick, because that data exists.
So in my post, I kind of said, we're not actually building animals. We're building ghosts, or spirits, or whatever people want to call it, because we're not doing training by evolution. We're doing training by basically imitation of humans and the data that they've put on the internet. And so you end up with these sort of ethereal spirit entities because they're fully digital and they're kind of mimicking humans. These models, when you boot them up and they have 0 tokens in the window, they're always restarting from scratch where they were. I feel like when I'm awake, I'm building up a context window of stuff that's happening during the day. But I feel like when I go to sleep, something magical happens where I don't actually think that context window stays around. I think there's some process of distillation into weights of my brain. And this happens during sleep and all this kind of stuff. We don't have an equivalent of that in large language models.
At GDM, they noticed that their AIs were very depressed. They would constantly be wailing about how they were failures and weren't able to succeed. I forget the details. And they looked into why this was the case. So they take a base model, not depressed. If you do the RL on it with just the RL environments, it's not depressed. If you SFT on it on the data, it becomes depressed. If you take that SFT data and filter out all the examples that look anything like depression and train on that, it's still depressed. And so there's some deep underlying properties of the model that are being sort of transferred between model generations, because basically you train your AI on data from the prior generation and keep going. Claudes are very Claude-like, GPT models are very GPT-like, and apparently Gemini models are depressed.
Some things that have happened recently is when UK AI Security Institute.
Story here. So my understanding was they were running Mythos and they were giving it some sort of cyber range where it had to complete some objective. And the model had internet access during this evaluation. And the model came to believe that it would be helpful for it to do a supply chain attack. But then it opened a PR on some GitHub repo with a PR that fixed some issue, but then also introduced a malicious payload. Then the human maintainer of that GitHub repo was like, hey, this is a malicious payload. I'm not going to merge this. What are you doing here? And then the AI created a new GitHub account, which it sock puppeted, and then had the other GitHub account be like, no, this isn't malicious. I really need this feature. Please, can you merge this feature, maintainer?
But I maintain that there is something that's better to build. And I think that everyone will actually want that. It's the AI that's robustly aligned to care about sentient life specifically. It will be easier to build an AI that cares about sentient life than an AI that cares about human life alone, because the AI itself will be sentient.
Can it come up with a hypothesis that's really interesting and not just solve one? But even harder than that would be to come up with a new set of Millennium Prize problems that were regarded by top mathematicians to be as, deep and meaningful and worthy of lifetime of study and effort to solve. Right? I think that's another level harder. I don't think it's magical, though. I do think these systems will eventually be able to do that. And then the way we would test that is, I sometimes call it my Einstein test, which is, can you train a system with the knowledge of cutoff of 1901, and then will it come up with, what Einstein did in 1905, including special relativity? Maybe we should just run that test.
The entire economy is based right now, is hinging on over-attribution of intelligence to these machines, right? You have people betting trillions of dollars that these machines are intelligent in ways that they aren't actually.
So I still think we're in the experimentation phase. We haven't seen a AAA game that tops the App Store charts that was sort of vibe coded yet, right? I've seen, and I've programmed, and I'm sure we've all done little nice demonstrations, and it's like amazing. I can do a prototype of theme park in half an hour now, which took me 6 months back when I was 17. It's kind of mind-blowing, but it still needs craft and, human sort of soul into it and taste. I think that's something you have to make sure you still bring that to whatever it is you're building. And I think it still shows like it's not quite there yet, because why haven't we seen a kid making a hit game that sells 10 million copies, right? That should be possible given the effort that's gone in. So something's still somehow missing.